So the reason we're having a conversation today is Prysmian, you are sort of stressing the importance of sustainability as a key consideration in the design of and production of fibre cables. I guess, I mean, clearly there's COP26 just happened and sustainability, but is there a particular reason why you're putting this emphasis out there at the moment?
Yeah, we clearly see more and more customers not willing anymore to build non-sustainable networks. You know, an optical network is a critical infrastructure. And more and more of our customers realize that as it is meant to last for 20, 30 years, there's no point anymore not to seriously consider how to make this sustainable in the future. For who is investing, the value creation resides in the fact that these networks must be sustainable and future-proof. And it's more and more evident for many customers. So it's an obvious trend. Of course, as Prysmian, not only in my business, not only in the telecom side of things, we have set up high ambition. So it's also, you know, there is a good matching between how the company is setting targets for itself and what I see in my field of business.
Okay, and sort of the highest level, the use of fibre itself can help your customers improve energy efficiency, reduce their energy consumption. Is that right?
Yeah, there's no doubt on that. We've been working in the last few years on with some universities, and we've issued the white papers clearly demonstrating that fiber is the most energy efficient of all the ways to connect people or devices. This is absolutely demonstrated both for the fixed networks and for the mobile networks. One could say, but what's the link between fiber and mobile? No, the reality is that the antennas now, especially if we want to reach the 5G specification that is, of course, improved compared to the previous generations, each antenna, or more or less all the antennas, must be connected to a fiber. So of all the ways to connect a device, fiber is by far the most energy efficient.
Okay, and then in terms of the actual manufacturing process, the fibre design, I believe that increasing the weight of the fibre preforms has some potential environmental benefits. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, sure. Of course, we are also working on our own processes in the global scope of work of Prysmian. We are very keen to not only propose more sustainable solutions to our customers, but also we are working hard on making our own processes more sustainable. One way, indeed, is to make the semi-finished, that is called the preform, which is a big piece of glass, bigger, so that we will consume less energy in the whole process, and we will generate less scrap during the process. So yes, we are also working on this. This is absolutely true, and it's not insignificant.
Okay, and another potential sort of environmental win is smaller diameter cables. I guess people might, their immediate thought might be, well, hang about, will that have any impact on performance? But I'm guessing that's not the case. Can you explain how that works?
Oh yeah, it's essential. I mean, to be able to reduce the diameter of optical cables and optical fibers inside the cable is a key feature for generating much less civil works during the installation. It's easier and faster to install, so you spend also less time and so less energy in the end in installing the cables. It means less transport. because everything is lighter. It means less packaging. And it also means that for the public, as all these cables are in the end installed in the public domain, it's also much less invasive for our cities and for the environment in which we live. So it's essential. But to be able to achieve this, given the fact that fiber is a very fragile element, you really need to have accumulated a real know-how to be able to do this, because to reduce compromising the quality, meaning the lifespan of our products, would be in reach of everybody. To reduce significantly the diameter without compromise at all on the quality of the components is a totally different game. And we've been working for decades on this as Prysmian, always having in mind the reality of the field. You know, it's not a lab exercise. It's in the interaction with our customers on the field, understanding the implication of each and every change of raw material or diameter to the real behavior of our cables with time. These cables are mistreated for 30 years in the public domain. You know, there are always works ongoing everywhere. They are mistreated, and they also have to face in certain places impressive temperature cycles from from a minus 20 degrees to a plus 30, plus 40 in certain places. This is what we have to consider. A laboratory exercise can be nice, but what matters is how the cable will react on the field. And this, I think, I can say, I'm proud to say that in Prysmian we really master these things. And this is why we are able to miniaturize our products better than any other competitor.
Okay. And one other area, I don't know whether it's actually the fiber cables themselves, but recycling of materials in, shall we say, the fiber life cycle, there is opportunities there. So what are you able to do around the recycling?
Yeah, we recycle more and more. We are working on processes first to be able to recycle the leftovers of our cables, because all our customers have a certain in the end of each bobbin, after installation, there is a leftover that has to be recycled, and it's not easy because we are talking about cables that are made of glass and plastic materials, so it's not obvious. So we work on this, and of course, given the fact that apart from the tiny hairs of glass that are inside the cable, the rest is all plastic materials. We work hard on using more and more recycled materials. We work on the material itself to try and use more sustainable materials in everything we do. It's a constant effort, and there is a lot to do. We have done a lot, but there's still a lot to do on this.
Okay, yeah, I was going to come on to that. I mean, it'd be good to understand. We've talked about sort of the theoretically what's possible to do to improve the environmental profile, if you like, of the cables. But what have you achieved as a company to date, purely around improving the carbon footprint, if you like, of your fiber cable products?
Of course, in this discussion, I have to be synthetic in what I could spend 2 hours talking about the technical details, but it's not theoretical at all. It's a reality that we have delivered already to the market. At this stage, we have in certain projects that are a reality, we have a solution that is made of 90% of recycled materials. This is a massive improvement. And in terms of reducing the diameter, as we were saying earlier, we have products now that have reduced the size, let's say the space occupation by 50%, which is extremely impacting the carbon footprint of building the infrastructure. These two elements are not theoretical at all. They are on the market and have more and more success. Of course, I know what we are doing in this moment in our research and development labs, and I can tell you it's just the beginning. We are going to move ahead in that direction, and our customers that are more and more sensitive to the sustainability dimension of their investment are more and more interested, and so we are going to accelerate even more, and we will see much more and more adoption of these solutions in the future. I'm convinced of this.
Clearly, you don't want to give away any of your sort of intellectual property secrets, what's going on in the lab, but are you able to give us a sort of flavour maybe of what's coming down the pipeline or down the cable?
Yeah. For instance, we just launched. It's not a secret, as it's been launched on the market. We launched after we have invented the reduced diameter fiber 15 years ago. It's our invention. Now, of course, all our competitors have followed on that path. We put the bar a bit higher recently by launching on the market a fiber that is a so-called 180 micron diameter fiber, as opposed to a standard of 250 and a reduced diameter previously of 200. It doesn't seem much when you talk about microns, but given the fact that these fibers are not only of a smaller diameter, but they are also very immune to the mechanical stress in their optical definition, these fibers are definitely the best in the world to enable further reduction of the diameters. That's the sorts of thing we work on, but we are able to be there because we've been working on this for 30 years. We are going to increase the quantity of we are going to leverage even more now on reduced diameter and fibers. We are reviewing our cable designs around the fiber in order, without compromising the quality, to be able to reduce further the diameter of the cables. We work a lot on our packaging as well, being very creative in substituting, for instance, spools that are wooden spool or plastic spools by cardbox kind of stuff with some IP inside that are a bit clever, very light, very easy to transport and store. We work on many different axes. We also provide intelligent devices on our spools to measure on real time the consumption of the cable on a certain spool, so that we always know, the customer that is using the cable always knows how much cable is left on the spool, so he can manage cleverly the leftovers much better than before, so that we reduce its own scrap. All these are on in our laboratories.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, you've alluded, I think, there to sort of the wider environmental picture. I'm just interested in your supply chain as a company. I say we've talked about clearly the products most specifically, but as a company, what other sort of environmental are you looking at your supply chain and other areas to address your carbon footprint?
We of course it's a system. And we look at what we do ourselves. We took the example of preforms earlier. We spoke extensively about our way to define our products. But more than this, we of course work with our suppliers, and some of them are more than suppliers. They have been partners for decades. And this combination, the fact that we have the global view, we are a fiber maker, and we also are a cable maker, but we also make the connectivity hardware to connect our cables. We sell more and more cables pre-connectorized. So we have a view on the whole chain to provide passive solutions. On this, you know, Prysmian has been nominated #1 in at the Dow Jones Sustainability Index in November for the electrical component manufacturers. It's not by case. We are #1 worldwide at the Dow Jones Index because we work on the full span of the supply chain, and everything we do is science-based. There is no idea of buying certificates in our approach of sustainability. You know, we are science-based, and we have very high ambition. I think we are the leader in our industry by a distance, I think, and we are not going to stop there. There is more to come.
Okay, and you mentioned a couple of times about the sort of, you know, the customer sort of feedback. So we're at an interesting time. And is it generally the case that you are getting more and more customers are sort of pushing back, or at least inquiring about your, you know, the company's sustainability credentials, both, you know, as we've just discussed, sort of the overall company, but also the actual fiber solutions you're providing? Have you noticed, say, in the last, I don't know, 5 years, a much bigger interest in that side of your business?
Yes, it's clear now. It's absolutely visible. I would say that some of our customers are genuinely interested because they see the whole thing. They see that there is a sustainability component which they genuinely take as their own target, just like Prysmian is doing. And on top, they also see that by using components that are going to last longer and are going to be easier to install, there is a benefit, an economical benefit for them as well, a value creation that is of a totally different kind than if they were not considering that point. Some of them then are really genuine, and more of them are genuinely considering this. Some others are a bit less genuine, but they are in any case pushed by their shareholders to go in that direction. So they are embracing the trend with some delay, a bit forced by their stakeholders, but they're going to join the party. It's inevitable, and we see even these ones more and more interested. A bit less, it's less genuine, if you want, but it's the whole system that is forcing them to go there. Again, if you, whoever you are, if you have to build an infrastructure that is meant to last 30 years, the value creation is in sustainability and future-proofness. That's where you create value and you differentiate what you do.
And just in terms of the, I mean, I'm thinking that most of the sort of customers are, when they come, I mean, obviously if it's a new project, then they've got the opportunity to specify, you know, this new kind of solution. But is it mainly otherwise when they're coming up to, you know, their existing infrastructure coming up to end of life, or are you actually getting some customers, you know, saying, actually, we need to do something rather than wait for, you know, another 10 years until our existing infrastructure is sort of theoretically ready for renewal?
Yeah. So some of them are indeed having put. Some of them put this point clearly on the table. Some others much less, because there is one element as well that we have to consider in the telecom industry, is that all my customers, most of my customers face a very high pressure that is a combination of an investment, a financial pressure, because, you know, as a consumer, we always want more, but it's not really the case that we are ready to pay more for having more, you know, as a consumer in the communication space. So, but these guys have to invest heavily in their infrastructure. So they are under pressure financially. That could make them accepting to work with so-so solutions as long as they work, because they have to invest anyway in the 5G spectrum, in building the infrastructure in rural areas that are expensive projects. And the second kind of pressure they have is the time pressure. Everything is about time and being able to connect the customers faster than the competitor. And even now, with the recovery plans that we see everywhere in the post-COVID moment, there are also deadlines to get access to the government fundings of the recovery plan. So there is a time pressure that is unfortunately often counterproductive, because it's preventing people to really go deeply into the sustainability exigence, I would say. So there is a mitigation due to these pressures that my customers see every day. So we could be faster if we didn't have that time pressure and that financial pressure, but it's a dream. As a matter of fact, they are in this situation. So I think we are doing our best to combine. And by the way, we succeed in offering solutions that combine sustainability, higher performance, and lower cost of installation. It's generally not sufficient. It's very appealing for the new builds. It's not attractive enough to trigger the replacement of existing solutions because of this overall situation. I think we are going to replace these solutions in the future in any case, because they are going to become obsolete in the next 2-3 decades. But it's not on top of their priorities now.
You've just referenced maybe one final question I'm interested. You mentioned 5G a couple of times, and the edge seems to always get, you know, shoehorned in with 5G and the edge, that everyone's, you know, synonymous. Are you noticing everyone's been talking about it and saying, yeah, it's around the corner, it's around the corner, from the fact that the orders that you're getting or, you know, are in the pipeline? Is 2022 the year when it's going to explode, or we're going to have to wait just a little bit longer?
5G, no, I don't think 2022 is the year in which it is going to explode. I think the technology represents such a step that the ecosystem still has to work a little bit on it to make it actually installable in the real life. I mean, I don't know if installable is an English word I can use. Sorry for my French way of saying things. But I don't think 5G is totally ready yet. What is clear in any case in my field is that we are seeing waves of new technologies coming towards us. It's not new, and it's not only the mobile, it's not only 5G. 5G is symbolic of that, but edge computing, IoT, the fact that we now connect more and more objects, and all these waves of new technology, the automated car that is going to come one day, all these are waves of technologies that are coming, and it's never-ending flow of something that we can barely understand. And as we have to build an infrastructure that will have to support all these technologies for 30 years, for sure, when it's about building a broadband physical infrastructure, what we have to do is to build the basement of a building without having the design of the building, because no one has any clue of the technologies we're going to use in 10 or 15 years from now. And so the point is, the only way to give the maximum chance of building something that is going to be future-proof is to choose now the best possible components of the highest possible quality to maximize the chances for this infrastructure to still be active in 25 years from now without reinvesting too much on it. This is the way to build a sustainable infrastructure. It is to take the best components now without waiting. And that deserves more attention because there are still some customers and some institutions that are not considering that enough. It's fundamental. It's a broadband network is as critical as building roads. You can have the best of all cars. If the road is bumpy, you're not going to be able to use your car properly. And that's exactly the same parallel we can do between the physical layer of the network that we contribute in building and the active components that are going to trigger the evolution, the technological evolution. 4G, 5G, 6G is already in preparation. If today we don't understand that we have to build a network for this purpose, we will have to massively reinvest, which is going to be good for my business. So I shouldn't even say it, you know. But the reality as a citizen is we will not have two opportunities of properly building that network. It's now. So we have to build it to make it right, rather than make it cheap or quick and dirty or too fast, if you want. We have to make it right. I think that's the key point.
Okay, I mean, that's lovely. It's been really fascinating to talk to you, and you've shared some really good insights. So thank you very much indeed for your time.
It was a pleasure. We do that again when you want.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.